This is Donna.
And this is TJ.
We're the Hills.
And this is
Dinner
and a Marriage.
Hello, hello.
We're back.
We're back for another week of mayhem. So, first things first. Shop talk, shop talk. Let's do a little shop talk with Donna. So, shop talk. Please like, follow, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you get all of the info. And yes, I'm trying to be vigilant of not leaning. We're going to move out of this space. This space will be good when we don't have so much in here. But right now it's so cramped. We're both a little bit claustrophobic about it. And yeah, so I lean forward a lot and I want to stick my hand
You
here.
don't gotta do it.
But when I do that, I end up doing this. And I already have enough of a speech impediment with my Invisalign. So yeah, it's a speech impediment. Speech impediment.
You're gonna get canceled for that.
Oh, wow. I wasn't making fun of anyone. I literally, with these in, have like a lisp.
Oh, goodness.
All right. So here we are. The next saga.
The next saga.
Yes. Whew. It's kind of a tough one, I feel like.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you know how cold the water is and you know you have to get in and you really don't want to. And then that first initial...
But we're polar bear plunging.
Yep.
Naked. And afraid. Oh, okay.
Goodness. I don't know about that.
So when we talked about, let's just get back to why we wanted to do a podcast, which is talking about our marriage, how we got here, how we're surviving it so far.
The hell that we went through.
Yeah. And all the things we went through, we thought this particular thing that we're going to go into today, that would be a little bit down the line and not necessarily today, but we're literally jumping in, like we said. So here we go. We're going to do that.
That was weird.
I know. But I have hesitation. It's like so much happened. So
we, just like many people in the world, have had a problem child or problem children.
Yeah.
Children that make not the best choices, even though we have been very attentive parents, strict, not too strict, like always around.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I will say that for me, you know, I used to work a lot. But I mean, it's like any dad. I mean, what are you supposed to do? Just quit your job and be like, oh, I guess I have to only work 5 hours a day to maintain whatever.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you can't. So
I guess going back to that, like when we first got together, we both had full-time jobs. And I think we talked about it or brought it up a little bit that because of the cost of daycare and stuff, that was one of the reasons, and my commute and the whole thing, I wasn't bringing home enough money to kind of make the substitution to be away from the kids.
Yeah.
And we were starting to see a lot of things occurring with our child, and he needed more of a structure and for someone to be home. So
a heavy hand, if you will.
Yeah. So we opted for me to stay at home. And yeah, so I did that for a long time.
Yeah. But we ended up with a handful for many, many, many years.
Yeah.
And um, definitely took a toll on us.
Mm-hmm.
Took a toll on, well, I mean, you say toll, but it took a toll on us. But I mean, I think that as far as our marriage,
We
it
came
made
out
it
stronger.
made stuff better because if anything was going to completely crush us and then say, okay, we can't do this,
It was
that would
this.
have been a legit excuse at one point, um,
Yeah, for sure.
to just be like, no way, we're this is
We're done.
this is crazy.
Right. For sure.
Um,
I mean, yeah. Because we have said before, like, we were, we both were divorced. There were other parents in the mix, but I don't know. I mean, we just dive in. So that parent wouldn't be able to take care of
anything.
anything. So that wasn't even an option where I had some people say, well, why don't you just let their mom take care of him and their biological mom? I was like, that is not an option. I We just felt like things would be worse, and which we found out later that is true.
Oh yes.
It created such chaos. Um, but anyways, where do you want to start with that? Like at the beginning?
What are we gonna call the beginning?
Well, I guess when he was young, so this is our third child, and when he was young, he started exhibiting some things that we were concerned with. Um, and at first we thought, well, maybe it was just because of kind of going the back and forth with um, bio mom and home. And, you always have that thing where they come home and you have to like retrain them because they've gone wild for a little bit. Um, so we kind of thought maybe it was that, but then it started getting escalated. So where he had no way to soothe himself. He would just scream and scream and scream and scream and scream.
I
Like,
had
oh,
night terrors,
night terrors over the strangest things, like, no, you can't have a popsicle right now.
or my sock doesn't fit right.
Yes, no, it was
There's
always the
something in my
seam.
shoe, or
Yeah.
like
So,
complete meltdowns.
yeah. And we would just try to be like, okay, gotta be calm, whatever, and just let him kind of run through it. Like you would think and I hate to say normal, but kids that have are able to self-soothe, right? We didn't find out till later because we did get him into counseling, but that he still has no self-soothing mechanism. So his escalation just escalates until somehow it just drops off. But so for us, like it sits with you when someone gets angry, like you get that stress, you start stressing, your stomach hurts, that whole thing, like that sits with you and festers. For him in that scenario, he just lets it go, like, okay, I'm done with whatever I'm doing and let's get back to the day, which that was so difficult because years of that.
Yeah, but I mean, to each their own, and I understand, right? Like he's that is definitely something that he can do, is be completely freaked out. The world is melting, all
Yeah.
the way melting and on fire, and 10 minutes later nothing has happened at all.
Yeah.
Yes, we would take a little bit to get over it. Sometimes I think you hang on to it a little
I
bit
do.
longer, but it's also the anticipation of when it's going to happen again
Yeah.
is always is what, as we went along, that was the point with me where I would be stressed out about it, is
When's he gonna blow up
worrying about
again?
it when it's going to happen again,
Yeah.
because it could be a half an hour, or it could be, a day, or it
Mm-hmm.
could be 4 hours or whatever. Just you never knew. It was so random. But um
But that was So,
He was like 5
well,
when all that.
yeah, 4 to 5. We started
Five's when
getting,
it started to get really bad.
yeah, and then when we had him in counseling, I was going with him twice a week, I
Yeah.
think, to start. Twice a week. And it wasn't until, because he could turn it on and off. So, like, he would be screaming at me in the car, like, he hates me, doesn't want to go to counseling, all these things. We'd walk into the counselor's office and he'd sit next to me and nuzzle up and be like, oh, all this super sweet, loving boy. And it's the only time that you want to be like, no, act like you act when no one else is around. Um, which it took a few different sessions. You were with me. We went together, and all of a sudden, he had a meltdown. Was under the table, losing his mind, and the counselor got up, left the room, came back, and said, "Okay, I understand what's going on." And she did, I don't know if she told us exactly, but she did some research and found out or determined that he had what was called reactive attachment disorder, or RAD, which a lot of, I guess, foster kids get that because they don't get the nurture when they're young. Because like TJ said, he did work a lot, and bio mom was home, but I guess from what we've learned is that she would ignore him all day. And so,
Yeah, I mean, he basically, it came down to like that thing when people are like, "What, did your mom not hug you enough?" Yeah,
yep,
pretty much.
basically was what happened.
She was like the type of person though that, and I only laugh because nothing bad happened, and it's so long ago now, and whatever. Because I was like, you want to be like, "Are you kidding me?" But it's like, oh my gosh, and here I'm getting phone calls, and it's like 11 in the morning, and I'm at work,
Right.
and she's like, all I tried to do is take a shower, and he's in his diaper like 7 houses down the road.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's
Just,
been a handful since he was small.
yeah, for
But
sure. But later on, to determine that he there was other factors happening. It wasn't just this reactive attachment disorder. But immediately when that happened, she did a ton of research. We talked about medication, and initially I think we were both like, well, we're not really big into, medication.
yeah, like, is it something that he's small and he's maybe gonna kind of outgrow some of this? Should we
Yeah.
wait? Whatever. But everything, it was worse and worse and worse. And I mean,
Mhm.
just to not drag this portion out too
Yeah.
long, but like jumping ahead, he's never been um, fully and officially diagnosed because he was under the age of 18, up through a lot of everything, and nobody wanted to put a label on him because then once you have that, you can't get rid of it, and for like employment and whatever. But I mean, it was possible
Is that the reason they
bipolar.
do that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
It's lots of things. Like it can absolutely follow you.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
um, he's possible bipolar, um,
Schizophrenic,
schizophrenic, and what was the other disorder? That
narcissist.
no, oppositional defiance
Oh
disorder.
yeah.
I call it asshole
ODD.
syndrome
I mean,
because
it is.
when the his psychiatrist, or was it a psychologist, psychiatrist, said that that's what he had, and he described it to me. I was like, it's basically an excuse. It's a name so you can be an asshole. Like that's not
That's
really
what it
that
felt
cool.
like, yeah.
Um,
Because it really is. Because we did see throughout the years that if you say, and we still see this, hey, don't do this, don't do this, he does the absolute opposite of that. Like, even to the smallest extreme, like, save some money, you're going to need gas. Nope. I just went and bought a vape pen or whatever the heck. Like, what? Wait a minute. Right. Now, that's an example, but just like so extreme to I'm full defiance on all fronts.
all the time.
Yeah. So jumping forward, like he said, we did start giving him medication. He was doing really well, or as well as could be, which was a night and day turnaround for a good chunk of time, um, until puberty hit about.
Hmm.
So
And then the dam was broken.
yeah.
All hell was released,
Mm-hmm.
and we suffered the fire and fury of that.
Yeah, our whole family did. I mean it.
I think so. For this episode, maybe we'll just quickly talk about a few things that happened, right? And
Yeah.
not get into like nitty gritty. And then if um, anybody wants to ask any questions in the comments, and then if you guys will ask questions in the comments, then we can bring it up on the next podcast or
Right.
the one after. Um, but we he stole one of our vehicles, and
To start it out, this was kind of the dam breaker.
this is where everything went to hell in a handbasket.
Mm-hmm.
But he stole one of our vehicles, um, took it out joyriding with some friends, totaled it, totaled two more vehicles. Some people did get injured. Um, we thought we were going to get sued. Like, it was
It was
crazy.
so bad.
Um, he stole other vehicles. He has done attempted robberies at convenience stores. There's a slew of things that were not right, and he could never get in trouble for. Um,
Yeah, that
like, we've advocated for him getting in trouble. I mean, gone to court so many times. Um,
pleaded
the
with the
system is
judge.
very, very, very broken. Like, beyond broken when it comes to certain stuff. Where we were at the time, they're due to things that he was involved in, and other people that he knew were involved in. He ended up being in a situation like there when it happened. His cousin got murdered. I mean, the life that and the path that he chose, um, and I know that because we've seen comments on Facebook, and we never put anything out. Like, we're really fairly new to social media. We've kept most of everything to ourselves for a very long time.
Yeah.
But there was an incident with a car theft that we said, hey, on Facebook, this is the description of the vehicle and blah, blah, blah. Some of the backlash that you get are just the shitty comments that people will make, like, where are the parents? What are the parents doing? Like,
Right.
I'm sorry if you saw our house, like the
Our
jobs that we had, like,
lifestyle.
we're very, very, very normal, good people. That,
Normal.
right? I mean, normal-ish, but I mean, we have our shit together. We legitimately do, but our child
He was
did
just
not. He absolutely,
what's that basic like mental health thing, like people just jump to a conclusion and say, "Oh, like somebody needs to take care of these kids." There are so many factors that are happening in Washington state that are BS because we were trying to do everything we could. The system actually fought against us.
well, this is a prime example. So, the night that he stole our vehicle and totaled two other cars, and people got injured, I get a knock on the door at 2 a.m. and it's a police officer, and he said,
Hey, do you own this car?
"Hey, do you own this car?" And I said, "Yes." And he goes, "Well, you might want to come take a look at it. I'm pretty sure it's totaled. But," and I'm like, "What?" And I look, and my car is not in the driveway. I'm like, "What in the world?" So then I find out, and the cop tells me who was driving it. I'm like, oh my gosh. And so I told him right then and there, I'm like, take him to jail. He's like, well, he's been picked up, but he's been taken to a hospital. And I'm like, is he hurt? And he said, I think they're just checking him out. He seemed fine. Okay. So
Well, he was under the influence, so that helped.
they also took him down to do a blood test to see what was in his system and whatever. But we went to the hospital to go pick him up, and there was a state patrol officer there. And this is about 3:30 in the morning now, and I've already pleaded with the cops, take him to jail. I do not want to have to come pick him up. And they were like, the first cop that I talked to goes, I don't know how to do that. And I'm like,
Isn't that
you're a
your
police
job?
officer. Put handcuffs on him and take him to jail. Well, I guess it gets really, really tricky when you're a minor. Okay, he was 15 at the time. But I also know a 15-year-old is of sound mind to what they're doing, and they should be able to go to jail when they do something like
Because
that.
he got in that car sober. He didn't
So,
start out
yeah.
inebriated.
But either way, after an hour and a half of them trying to figure it out, and they finally called me back and were like, we can't take him to jail. You have to come pick him up. So we go down to the hospital, and I see him, and I'm obviously super perturbed. I didn't start screaming at him, and there's a cop standing there and whatever.
You did ask him if he was okay and stuff.
Yeah, I did. But the police officer looked at me right in front of Christian, and he goes, you know, when you leave here, and he goes, and I can tell that you're super upset. He goes, if you do anything, you will go to jail.
To him.
To me, not to Christian. And I was like, wow. So if I'm going to then take him home, I mean, he deserved a complete ass whooping. But then all he would have to do is call the cops, and then the cops could show up, and I would get arrested for him stealing my car. And
putting
then him getting an ass
lives
beating.
In danger. Like he had friends in the car with him.
So when you put
like
a parent in that
stuff.
situation and legally saying like this is what's going to happen to you, I mean that just empowered him right there. And you know, that is one of the big determining factors in that state and everything that went on to what escalated, and we can get into more later on another episode of whatever of the path that he went down. And I mean, it is a whirlwind of just sheer destruction.
Yeah.
And I mean, loss of life, and I mean, craziness.
Yeah.
But what we're kind of using this as a preamble to say that, right?
Fast forward.
So fast forward to now.
4 years later.
So, you know, it's really, really difficult until you become a parent, but it is amazing, like how much you can get wronged by somebody and still love them.
Yeah.
It's taken me a while to get over some stuff. But I mean, we have, but there is that's the backstory to that.
You're so sweet. I'm not over some stuff. I'm still super leery. I still have some reservations, but I still have a mommy heart.
And, I feel the same way.
And it's just, we're out here. So as we say, fast forward, right? 4 years later, we're here. We moved out here not because of that situation. It's a whole other slew of things, and we wanted a better life and all kinds of stuff. But here we are out here, and all of our kids chose to stay in Washington State. I mean, they're older. They all have lives. It's not like, oh my gosh, but obviously we'd love our kids to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Out of our 4 kids, this one problem child, as we're saying, is the only one who wants to come out and help. Like, I want to come help build with dad. And, we were giving him some time and saying, well, let's see how you're doing. Like, he is on his own now. He's 19. Like, he was, for a minute, doing really well.
And he is now not doing the best.
Yes.
Which is not the same as before, though. It has nothing to do with drugs. It has nothing to do with breaking the law. It's just he
just chooses bad.
He just makes the worst decisions ever.
He puts
in
things
life.
over importance, like I need a car more than I need an apartment, or I need a girlfriend or social media or whatever over a job. Like, just things that, like, yeah. So basically, why we jumped forward into starting to talk about this is we have broken down basically, and our hearts have melted somewhat. And
they're de-thawing.
Yeah, and we're putting him
or
on
thawing,
a
not
bus
de-thawing.
to come out here.
You haven't said. You said him, but now you said them. Nobody knows who them is.
Oh, did I say them?
You said them.
Okay. So part of my mommy heart.
This is
one
of the major factors
yes,
of it.
Is he's now going to be a daddy.
Lord help the world.
And we're going to be grandparents again. Or for the second time.
The only saving grace.
Yeah, so, of course, as being a mom, that I want to make sure that baby is going to be okay. And
yeah, that's the main reason for all of it is that. And just...
he needs to be okay to be a dad, and he's currently not. They are currently homeless. They've been living in their truck. He does work, but it's sporadic. I'm not really sure. So
he works at a demolition company.
Yeah, and I can't do it. We're the everyday phone calls of the crying. They're sitting in the park eating out of cans. Like, yeah, it just rips my heart out. And I know he knows those buttons too. And that's the tough one.
Oh, yes. There's going to be some figuring out to do.
Yeah.
To say the least.
So
I don't know. It could end up being a decent thing. It could end up being...
I think he's going to be great to help you with building and us. And yeah, and hopefully it does work out and everything's good with the pregnancy. And yeah, I think everything will work out.
Yep.
All we can do is pray about it. So yeah. So if you do have any questions, comments, want to scold us on social media, go right ahead.
Yep. We've been through some of it. I mean, whatever.
We've been through the ringer.
As far as that, I don't really care, but I just think that some people
might genuinely want to know some information.
Yeah, I mean, we know other people that are, really good, what I would say, normal people.
Decent
and
parents,
they've got one child that's just absolutely amazing, and then another that's got some stuff going on, making life difficult. So
not, and I'm not by any means saying, not having a problem child. We were problem children in our family. Like, I would say, not like to this extreme, but I definitely gave my parents a run for their money.
Oh, I have many times asked my dad, do you think that this is happening to me as retribution to
Well,
what I
when you
put
were
you
little,
through? And
or
he
when
was like, no, dude, you were
well,
never this bad.
when Christian was little, they would say that, oh, it's payback, that happens. But when he got older, they're like, not what we meant.
Yeah, I was like, that was meant to be a joke.
Yeah.
But this obviously, like, that little tiny spark lit into a massive forest fire.
Yeah, a blaze. Yes. Whew.
So, yeah, interesting. Need
That
to
was
take a
tough.
deep breath.
Mm-hmm.
This is like one of those times in life where you know what the right thing to do is, but it's so damn hard.
It is so much.
You know what I mean? Or you have a vision about what your life's going to be, and then it totally changes in an instant.
You know what's funny?
Like,
and this would be a different episode, I would think, is that so many people will say, oh, I saw my life going like this, right? Or like that, or whatever. I never did that. I always just have gone with whatever it is.
yeah, you're a little bit of a free spirit like that, though. I could see
Yeah.
that. I have not ever had a clear, this is exactly what I'm going to do and blah, 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 but I've always had, like, goals.
Yeah.
I am currently meeting all of my goals.
Nice.
It has just been a much more difficult and painful experience getting there than I ever thought it would be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's when we were talking a couple weeks ago and I said, part of me and when I was younger, it was more about the destination than the journey.
And for me, it's more the journey than the destination.
Yeah, but moving out here, I'm like, oh, it's going to just be the journey. And I know some stuff's going to be super sketchy, and I know certain things are going to seem irritating and whatever. And,
Yeah.
for the most part, I've had a really good attitude about all of the bumps that we've had to go through since being here. And just soaking it all in, and now we're throwing a monkey wrench into the situation.
Is that you? Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. I was like, I feel a rattling.
So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, wow, that was loud. That is definitely a monkey wrench. That is. But yeah, stay tuned. There will be more. And we still want to talk about more stuff that had come up or that's gotten us here. And for the next couple days before we have company, you might just see us running around naked.
Oh wow.
Technical difficulty.
Yep.
So you might see a jump, but I think it'll be good. So yeah. With all that said.
Pretty much. Yeah, so we're going to have a new adventure.
Yes.
In the middle of our new adventure.
What did the drummer name his twins?
Drum and drummer.
Anna 1, Anna 2.
Ah!
Dun-dun-dun. My
That was dumb.
my cousin Karen said that to me. I thought that was hilarious.
Wow.
Anna 1, Anna 2. And we're out of here.
Yep.
Bye. And before you go, visit us on our social medias at Linktree/The Hills on Wheels, linktr.ee/The Hills on Wheels, no spaces.